Hello there, and welcome to another, I guess, op attack. I don't know. It's DC, but it's DC in 12 hits. I never thought that it would happen. I didn't think that it was possible. I thought that, you know, it was far too crazy, but apparently it is a thing, and it has happened. So, we're kicking it off with attack number 1 on Jav, or Javanaise, or the J-Mayonnaise, you know, whatever you want to call it. There might be some other names that are a little less appropriate for, Anyways, moving on. This is actually a really nice Jav, because, as you can see, like, around the core, it's generally always this same kind of layout. You are going to have to worry about the rocket launcher and obviously the 3 shock launchers, but the machine guns down at the bottom aren't that big a deal, and then you've got the 1 rocket launcher over on the other side of the core from where you're putting your troops, so that's 4-ish shocks, with some critters down for the sniper towers and boom cannons, and it should be pretty good. You know, once the mines are cleared and everything, it's much easier for the next person to go through. So, the next person being Mez. Mez the Machine. Mez the Machine because it's our Mezzo too. If it was his main account, then it's Magical Mez. So, he does very much the same sort of landing as Trey did in the last attack. As you can see, he's running over. However, he placed his flare a little further over and went up on the beach on an angle. What this allows him to do is not lose a couple of Zookas coming up, but also it gives them a nice tight little group coming on that angle, and then all of the Zookas kind of bunch up by that machine gun, so he gets a really good tight group. And as you can see, he can stretch out those smokes with almost no overlap at all and just run the ladies right into the very back. Just every time I watch one of these attacks, I see things and I'm just like, wow, that's freaking perfect. It's unbelievable. I don't even understand how he does it. So, excuse me, once you're in the back, what you really want to do is obviously stop the 2 rocket launchers and the shocks, and if you've got the spare energy, throw down on the machine guns and throw some critters for the sniper towers slash boom cannons, and you're going to get a nice easy win. The path is key though. You want to go right up the first line, and then you want to walk up right in between the 6-pack that's at, I don't know, let's call it 5 o'clock from the core. Just for the record, 6 o'clock being the bottom of the screen, 12 o'clock being the top of the screen. Not some kind of crazy person who insists that, you know, 6 o'clock is the beach. So, next attack, we're rocking, well, I guess Tails is rocking a whack at sliding block. Now, instead of going to the left and trying to clear out all of the shield gens and stuff like that, because of the number of rocket launchers and things over there, it's kind of scary. He decides to take the direct approach and just stroll right up into the Dragon's Den. Wait, I don't know if that's like a copyrighted thing. I don't know if I'm going to have to worry about copywriting. So, right into the... yeah, no, I got nothing. Right into the Sasquatch's den? I don't know if that's even a thing. Anyways, from the corner right there, 1 shock in the core structure there, and a couple of shocks on the sniper towers, and as you can see, his Zookas start doing some work Obviously, the boost from Brick is super handy to have. And then what he does is he actually flares up after the one rocket launcher because, one, it puts all of his troops closer to the rocket launchers, which is his real goal in this attack. Like, what he really wants to take out are the rocket launchers, because that means that the next guy that comes in has that all nicely cleared up, and they can just kind of bomb away on the shields. So he's obviously doing the best he can on the remaining side defenses, but it's the rocket launchers and that shock blaster in this case that really make the difference. It is a 2-attack strategy, but you know what? Sometimes you're better off going for those 2-hit strategies, like a guaranteed 2-hit instead of the going for the glory, maybe 1 hit, but maybe 3, depending on how bad things go. Unless, of course, you've got the extra attacks to just sort of blow on trying things out. So, in comes RF with a whole bunch of Zookas and just parks them right down on the 6 o'clock, you know, like right on that corner, and that's all he's got to do. Tails has already cleared everything away. It's just a matter of sitting there and waiting for the win. But yeah, that's kind of the approach we've been taking. The slow and steady wins the race sort of a thing. Obviously, every once in a while, we will run into a scenario where we're short on attacks and we've got to make some things happen. That's when we'll go after the riskier, crazier things. But I know... Wow. I slowed it down to a quarter for that. And not intentionally, aside from the fact that it's kind of cool to see all the Zookas firing at the same time, and then also the sniper tower just shooting at bullets like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm having a great time. Alright, guys. So, moving on, we've got Mac up next. Well, we've got Kint on Mac. Wait, Kint doing... Wait, no. Kint attacking Machina. Pretty standard Mac, you know, like, around the right-hand side, there's a whole bunch of empty space. Around the left-hand side, there's a whole bunch of rocket launchers, shock launchers, and mines. And as you can see, he's just loading in and then walks into the 7 o'clock-ish little pocket there. That's ultimately where you're always going to want to go. And you just kind of stroll your Zooks through the defenses there. The big part is making sure you actually clear the mines out. Now, having Brick has actually added a layer to this attack where you can run Brick up ahead a little bit, and if you miss 2 or 3 mines, Brick will take care of that for you, which is incredibly, incredibly handy and super nice to have. Always a really tough gunboat energy intensive attack on Mac, and Kint did a fantastic job of it, taking down about half of a 2 million point core, you know, like, no big deal. Probably like 1.9 or 1.8, but who's counting, am I right? So, having seen how to do it right, I kind of jumped in there. I wanted to get in on the low-hanging fruits while I still could, and as you can see, I almost borked it with the positioning of that last smoke. I accidentally put it just a smidge too high, which makes me so sad in the face. Alright, so stroll into the very back with the super special pocket of Zooka defense, and then once the troops all get in there, all you gotta do is flare onto the core and make sure you hit all the shocks. And some of the shocks are harder than others. This particular map didn't have any incredibly hard shocks, but sometimes you'll get the 4-pack with the 1-off. If you go to the hub, there's an entire group devoted to those kinds of shocks. So it's a practice group, if you would, quote unquote. And they use the base builder to make common layouts of different op hits and different shocks and different patterns that you've got to deal with. So for example, in that last attack, having the little 4-pack with that one extra rocket launcher, so you can practice getting the shock on all 5 of them. I'm pretty sure there's also actually a Manticore, couple or maybe more than one Manticore test also, where they've got the ring of rocket launchers around and then the ring of flamethrowers on the other side, and landing your troops right in there. And at the very least, you may not get to practice the timing, like the speed and the distance of the attack, but at the very least you'll get positioning right. So even if you don't have perfect timing, you'll have perfect positioning, and that goes a long way. Especially when you start getting to this level where it's hard to kind of experiment and grow at your own pace, because if you start doing that, you might be letting down your task force because you're doing crazy things. And especially with a hit like this, where you've got to drop the 3 critters as the smokes go off, and then drop all of the shocks. Like, this is an incredibly, incredibly tough hit. And, like, I see that hit by Stu, and it blows my mind. I am absolutely amazed every time I see it, because it's just so many things could go wrong and cause so many problems. And Stu especially just consistently nails that. It's fantastic to watch. Gotta love it. So, after Stu did his half of the damage, Hamidou? I'm not really sure on how to pronounce the name. I'm pretty sure he was a hopper, because I don't recognize the name either. Joined us from obviously the hoppers, which again, the hub has a room where you can, throw out your base, what kind of hoppers you need, and if you are a hopper, you can pick up, bases to hit and whatnot. Fantastic little tool, give it a shot. There's also groups on Telegram and all kinds of things all over the place. So if you do need a hopper, it's kind of fun. You should try it. Most of them are pretty cool. Not often do you get a dork, and normally those work themselves out anyways. You know how it is. Now, Manti down in 2 hits, absolutely fantastic. So much better than our old school strategy of clearing up the right-hand side and doing all kinds of silly things and blah blah blah. I really do think that is key. We're going to move on to Tars, and in Tars, as you can see, Magic Mez is doing his fancy 2-smoke landing even with a hero, and then smokes right up into the 6 o'clock from the core, maybe like 6:30, it's like pretty tight in there. And once he's up in there, this is, I don't even know, like normally where those, the 3-string of machine guns and the 3-string of cannons are, normally those are shock launchers. So like, very nice, very lucky roll. You throw a couple shocks over on the other side, and then 1 shock over onto the rocket launchers, and you can freaking plow through and just take this mofo down. Now, I did say at the beginning of the video that they were able to take down DC in 12, and you're probably sitting there like, hey, wait, didn't you have to eat a lemon for 14 or 15 or something? No, you're right. Originally I said if we could beat DC in 15 or less, because I thought that was stretching it. I didn't think that would be possible. And then, well, we did it. I had to eat a lemon, and I got smarter. I dropped her right down to 11, And this is actually like 2 or 3 days after that, where they did a 12, and I was sweating because I did my attack earlier on. If I had known it was going to be that close, I would have saved it for a little sabotage on the moment, you know what I'm saying? But, fortunately, so fortunately, it did not end in 11, because I really don't want to have to do that again. It was horrible. Like, it was like licking pledge cleaned furniture. It's not cool at all. Not a fan. Anyways, also, kind of funny, because we've been running Massive Attack recently. I, again, decided, hey, you know what? We're never going to do Massive Attack in 15. I'm going to, like, throw out Massive Attack in 15. I'll eat a habanero pepper. We actually had a Massive Attack earlier this week that took 16 hits. And I'm glad, because I almost pooped myself. And if I had to eat the habanero pepper, I'm sure I would definitely poop myself, because they're supposed to be something absurdly spicy. Like, freaking crazy spicy. Also, just as a side note, I've got videos coming out shortly, with luck, of those Massive Attack hits, just because we've been doing them. Definitely hoping to get those out soon, so if you're looking to see the Massive Attack stuff, please keep your eyes peeled, keep an eye on the funs, and the fun stuff, yeah. And we'll be able to move on. Now, I wasn't sure how Tails was going to deal with this rocket launcher, because as you can see, it's set just so perfectly right there in the corner. I wasn't sure, kind of, you know, is he going to smoke the landing? Is he going to try doing something fancy? Like, what's going on? He's left a couple of mines here. I was really kind of getting concerned. And as you can see, he drops the smokes, keeps his troops nice and safe, but he probably could have saved himself those smokes, just because when you're landing your troops like this, if you flare down into that bottom corner, it actually... Oh, that was some weird business with the smokes there. Interesting. Also, using brick to clear the mine, or, well, mines. I guess brick only really hit the one mine, but that is a fantastic strategy. I'm a big fan. But yeah, when you're landing, sorry, I got distracted. What do you want from me? So when you're landing, if you land your troops and you're running towards the right, it'll actually drop your troops down in underneath the line of the water, which is kind of useful when you're trying to figure out if you're going to have to smoke your landing or if you're going to have to do some strange things, because you can obviously just, you know, look before you attack and be like, oh no, it doesn't touch the water, we'll be fine. You just have to, like, have the cojones to try it, to throw it out there and kind of move forward. And I'm finding a lot of the times some of the higher end strats, that almost seems to be what they need. If you really want to pull it off, you gotta have the brass to, like, go in there and do ridiculous things and just trust that it will work out. So if you're looking to, I guess, improve and to do some higher end ops, but you're worried your team isn't quite at that level, just try doing some crazy stuff. Honestly, watching the videos and just replicating it, like, once you see it and you know that it's possible to happen, all you've got to do is redo it, and even if it takes some exploration, like a failure or two, that's okay. It's still going to get you to the same place eventually. Now, from this point, obviously, Teeth is not going to be able to take out this base on this particular attack, but I'm really a big fan of the way he dealt with the flamethrower there. What he did was he actually flared onto the second flamethrower in. And the reason he did that is because then his Zookas take out that second flamethrower, they automatically reassign their targeting when that flamethrower dies to the nearest defense with the least amount of health, which in this case there's only the one defense being left, and that one defense, oh, here is the landing by Creech, actually showing exactly what I was talking about, where your Zookas kind of go semi-submarine, and they do a quick stroll under the water waves when you go over to the right. So anyways, yeah, it's a great way to save yourself a little bit of smoke and a little bit of struggle with that landing in particular. So anyways, like I was saying with the flamethrowers though, when they reassign to that nearest flamethrower, now yes, they could do that going from the nearest flamethrower to the other one. However, any Zookas that were at max range for the first flamethrower are going to have to move forward in order to get to the second flamethrower, and that chews up vital, well, I guess, what, milliseconds of your attack? But when you've only got a few seconds on your shock, those milliseconds really add up, and it really, really does make a difference. So by targeting the further thing, it prevents your Zookas from having to move because they're already at max range on that further flamethrower. The nearest flamethrower they can just switch to and pop right away. Fantastic strategy. It's a great way to go about it. I'm a big fan. And then obviously Creech rolled his ladies in right there at 12 o'clock exactly, brought along a crazy, what is it, bullet with his taunting tastiness, just so that he doesn't have to worry about the Doom Cannon that's chilling out over there on the left hand side. And Creech with this attack takes down the last core for DC. It's almost mind-blowing to think that all of DC went down so quickly and so easily. The task force really is doing fantastically. Great job, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's been entertaining. And above all else, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day.